All right, so let's come on back. I would love to hear your conversations. I'd love to hear about the best gifts that you have been given, because the truth is, I have to admit that I am not the best gift giver, so I could always use some suggestions. There are some people who are really amazing gift givers. They are great because they are very generous or very thoughtful or very creative, and I'm none of those things. Generally, in addition, I don't really enjoy shopping, so it's not my forte. I'm not a total Grinch, however. I do make, I'll say with a bit of modesty, pretty good hand-drawn cards for birthdays. But in our house, when it comes to birthday presents or Hanukkah presents, let's just say we have set expectations very low. When I looked over the list of things that our Federation asked us to donate on our recent mission to Israel, it seemed like my pattern for uninspired gift giving was going to continue. When we arrived in Rehovot, we were asked to go shopping on the main street to buy shampoo and conditioners that we'd later donate to soldiers. We were told that this would be a double mitzvah, supporting the local economy and giving something to the soldiers that we met. So I dutifully went to a makolet, a mini market, and I got several bottles of fruit-scented shampoo and several bottles of eucalyptus-scented conditioner. And I thought to myself, the IDF, really, they need Americans to fly to Israel to bring them shampoo? What, so they can smell good in Gaza? I mean, really? To be fair, later in the trip, we did give out some very thoughtful and useful gifts. We visited soldiers at Hadassah hospitals in their new rehabilitation facility, and we brought them two gifts: swim goggles and Legos. Aaron Goldstein had identified the need for goggles on a previous visit and arranged for us to bring, actually for Kara to schlep, hundreds of pairs of goggles. Soldiers in rehab do water therapy, so goggles are useful for their pool time. And Legos are more than just something to pass time between physical therapy appointments. They help work on small motor function. You should have seen the smiles of one soldier when we gave him a large Harry Potter Lego set. Our Parsha, Truma, is about gifts. In modern Hebrew, trumot, the plural, means donations, and I would be remiss if I didn't say how important and meaningful those were in Israel as well. At several stops along the way, Jim Cohen, the executive director of Federation, offered additional financial support to several organizations, to the Hostage Family Forum, to a program for adults with special needs, to an organization that offers mental health support for veterans, and on and on. These gifts are made possible by all of you who generously supported the Special Federation campaign that followed October 7th. Rather than dive deeper, though, into our Parsha, on this Rosh Chodesh Adar, I'd like to look ahead to Purim for a message about gift giving. Not just what to give, but why. For today, it is a time to pick a costume and purchase your Women's League Hamantash, and also to order Mishloach Manot, Purim gifts. Now, before considering Shlach Manos, I want to first draw your attention to a phrase that appears several times in Megillat Esther. The phrase is Lishloach Yad. Now, you might think that lishloach yad means to somehow extend your hand to offer help, as in, hey, let me give you a hand. Instead, lishloach yad means to kill. At the beginning of the Megillah, when Mordechai refuses to bow down, Haman says, it's a shame to lishloach yad, to only lay a hand on Mordechai alone. I think I'm going to kill all of the Jews. When Esther reveals the plan to the king, Ahasuerus says, I'm going to hang Haman for lishloach yad, for threatening to lay a hand on the Jews. Then on the 13th of Adar, just when Haman was about to pounce, the Jews gathered lishloach yad to attack those who sought to kill them. Finally, after successfully defending themselves, the Megillah reports the Jews killed their enemies, but they did not lishloach yad, they did not lay their hands on the spoils. In other words, the Megillah makes it clear that the Israelites were fighting a defensive battle, not a mercenary one. Haman and his sons tried to lishloach yad, to threaten, even kill the Jews. And how did we respond? We read in the Megillah, the Jews enjoyed relief from their enemies. They transformed a time of grief and mourning to one that was festive and full of joy. And they commanded to observe them as days of feasting and merrymaking, and as an occasion for mishloach manot, ish l're'ehu, for sending gifts from one to another and gifts to the poor. Mishloach manot, as you know, are gift baskets exchanged on Purim. According to the halakha, a basket should contain a minimum of 2 kinds of food. This is derived from the word manot, which means dishes, which is in the plural. Now, we tend to give cookies or candy, and indeed, I brought back a bunch of Israeli candy for Bethel's Mishloach Manot. On the other hand, I'll point out that the rabbis, when they speak about sending Mishloach Manot, they talk about sending fleishes. That would be some good shlachmanos. As an aside, here's a brain buster question for you to consider. Why is there no bracha for Mishloach Manot? Why don't we say when we're giving one, Asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tivanu lishloach manot ish l're'ehu? In my research, I read about a dozen what I would call unconvincing answers. I do have a thought, though, and I'll share it with you at Kiddush. You know the general rubric for most Jewish holidays. They tried to kill us, we won, let's eat. Here we have, though, an additional step. They tried to kill us, we won, let's eat, let's give a gift basket. Now, I haven't seen the following connection made by any of the medieval Mefarshim, any of the traditional commentaries. So I'll say that you heard it here first. I want to suggest that Mishloach Manot is a direct response to Lishloach Yad. They laid their hands on us, and so we extend our hands to one another. The Jews in Persia faced an imminent threat. They fasted and they prayed. They must have been shaken and scared. And the response, not just party like it's 1999, they did that too, but they also reached out. They checked in. They showed concern. They showed that they cared. And they fed. They're Jewish after all. Notice that Mishloach Manot were not given in order to have food for the feast. The order of the verse is Mishteh v'simcha v'lishloach matanot. The gift baskets were a small gesture expressing caring that comes long after the feast. In the face of danger, we might be tempted to retreat, to tightly lock our doors. We might live with fear and be overwhelmed by an internal darkness. Wisely, our tradition teaches us in just those times, it's our job as a community to reach out, to check in, to show concern, to show that we care. It's not just a nice thing to do, it is the very key, says our tradition, to our survival. Regarding Mishloach Manot, our rabbis teach that our ability to destroy Amalek, the ancestor of Haman, directly depends on our love for one another. Mechiyat Amalek tluya ba'ahavat Yisrael. And Mishloach Manot, giving gifts to others, aims to connect us and to foster a greater love between us. Mitzvat Mishloach Manot nir'eh lavod le'ahava Yisrael. In this passage, our rabbis teach that our survival as a people depends on strengthening bonds of love for one another. Reaching out with even a small gift can grow that love on the part of the giver and the receiver, and we saw that indeed to be the case. Several times on our mission, we visited Israeli soldiers. We gave them the shampoo, and they were like, "What? Shampoo? Okay, thanks." But then we gave them cards that were hand-drawn by our students at the Talmud Torah and by our Olive Preschool kiddos. And these brave soldiers in their uniforms holding their M16, their faces just lit up. They got a kick out of trying to read the Hebrew and to figure out the drawings. More than that, the fact that we had flown halfway around the world to deliver them and to say, "Thank you, we're thinking of you," they were truly touched, and it lifted their and our spirits. It created a feeling of achdut, a feeling of unity that was healing and empowering. They told us they felt lifted knowing that we were behind them, and this scene repeated over and over again. Chaverim, I don't have to tell you that we are living through such difficult times. And now clearly when it comes to facing our enemies, neither shampoo nor hamantash are a substitute for an army or for mental health support. But I can tell you that sometimes even small gestures create bonds of love that help us fight for life. Because sometimes it really is the thought that counts. And in this case, the greatest gift that we could bring was our presence. Shabbat Shalom.